Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. Special welcome if you are watching on onespotmedia.com. The security guard who injured and robbed a policeman of his service pistol at the Crossroads police station yesterday is now in custody. Romario Kevin Abrams was captured this morning during a police operation in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. A senior investigator told TVJ News that the stolen service pistol was recovered in the operation. This was confirmed by head of the Constabulary Communication Network CCU Deputy Superintendent Delia Garrick. She said Abrams was held at a plaza along Marchpen Road shortly after 10 o'clock this morning and the gun recovered from him. The Police High Command launched a major manhunt for Mr. Abrams after he stole the weapon from the Crossroads police yesterday. It was reported at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon Mr. Abrams went to the police station to give a statement and submit a medical report in a case of assault, occasionally actual bodily harm. While being assisted, he attacked and disarmed the police officer and escaped. Investigators are close to making a breakthrough in the murder of Carolyn Davis Campbell, the Bishop Gibson High School teacher who was fatally shot at her home in Manchester last month. The police say details of the investigations can't be divulged at this time due to its sensitive nature. Mrs. Campbell was shot dead by a gunman who invaded her home in Melrose Mews, Manchester on July 10. It was reported that she was killed while in bed. Her husband, who was also in the bedroom, was not harmed. And Mrs. Campbell, who was murdered last month, was buried yesterday. Funeral services for the 44-year-old teacher was held at the Knowles Road New Testament Church of God in Mandeville. Past President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Georgia War Richards, who was speaking at the funeral service, made the appeal to the authorities to bring her killers to justice.
The over 25,000 members of this association are today appealing to the authorities to swiftly bring these cowards to justice and urgently strengthen every effort to stem this spiraling crime rate.
Davis, who was a teacher at the Bishop Gibson High School, was murdered at her home in Manchester on the 10th of July. The JTA past president had this message for those responsible for her murder.
Our word to these killers is that you are cold, you're callous, you are senseless, and you're a coward.
Officials of 6 municipal corporations in Western and Central Jamaica were briefed this week by the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA on the proposed Cockpit Country Protected Area. Chairmen, Chief Executive Officers and other senior representatives of the Trelawney, St. Anne, St. James, Manchester, Clarendon and St. Elizabeth municipal corporations were in attendance at Wednesday's meeting. The proposed Cockpit Country Protected Area spans the 6 parishes. A statement from NEPA says the meeting was convened to, among other things, brief the teams on the process adopted by the government in declaring the proposed boundaries. It also explained the accompanying initiatives and actions for areas outside the boundary and provide information on the mandatory environmental impact assessment. The protected area comprises 74,726 hectares and will be protected under law. This includes existing forest reserves, hydrological and ecological features, as well as cultural and heritage sites. As a dry spell continues to wreak havoc on the agricultural sector, the sugar industry is now bracing for the effects of the sharp decline in rainfall. The All-Island Jamaica Cane Farmers Association says the cultivation of sugarcane has been affected. Chairman of the association, Alan Rickards, told our news centre that the cane farmers are now in a wait-and-see mode.
And the fallout is going to be in terms of the projected estimate of the weight, how many tons of cane will be reaped, because fields that to the eye may look similar and populated are going to produce less weight because of the drought. In many aspects, we are going to have to wait and see When you can look at a field and see that the growth is stunted, you can tell right away you're in trouble. And there are some fields like that, particularly in areas that are not irrigated.
Mr. Ricketts says the sugar industry was faced with other problems associated with the drought.
But in areas that are irrigated, we have had problems with the irrigation. Those have been sorted out. By and large, with the NEC, water has been returned in terms of irrigation in the Clarendon Plains. But I cannot say that we are not going to have the result of the drought will not show. It will show. The extent of it right now, we are not able to tell. I do not anticipate that it will be as bad as a few years ago when we had those terrible successive droughts.
We take a break now on Midday News, but stay with us. More stories after these messages. Welcome back. Continuing the news. There's a call for broadcasters in the region to be compensated by businesses that use the content. The call comes from Gary Allen, head of Jamaica's largest media conglomerate, which owns this network, while speaking at the Kingston Rotary Club meeting yesterday. Mr. Allen pointed to the actions of some businesses in the region. Making broadcasting in the region equitable in this new digital ecosystem was one of the major targets discussed at this year's Caribbean Broadcasting Union Assembly held last week in Colombia.
The inequity has existed for far too long. And interestingly, some have recognized it. They have recognized it in the Caribbean, but the application to deal with it has not been region-wide.
He added that there are issues to be dealt with in creating a level playing field in media, especially in Jamaica.
Pay to develop or the content that they lease and air or the content that they get licenses for. When we use that content on our channel, others can't simply take the broadcaster's channel and use it on their platform without compensation. Some have recognized it. They have recognized it in the Caribbean, but the application to deal with it has not been region-wide. So some of the companies based here actually do pay broadcasters in other territories, but fail to do so in Jamaica. And that is something that has to be dealt with.
The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, JCPD, is being given greater administrative autonomy by the Ministry of Social Security. State Minister Xavier Main says under a newly developed regime, the JCPD will operate as a corporate body. Speaking on Wednesday in St. Mary at the final in the Ministry's public consultations on the proposed codes of practice for employment for persons with disabilities, Mr. Main said the Council will be better able to take care of its own affairs. The Code of Practice is intended to provide guidance on the engagement and facilitation of persons with disabilities in the workplace. The code is being developed in accordance with the Disabilities Act, which was passed in the Houses of Parliament in 2014. It will also provide a minimum standard by which public is guided on how to interact with and facilitate the participation of persons with special needs. The opposition leader, Dr. Peter Phillips, says the People's National Party, PNP, is developing specific performance targets for its elected representatives and party officials. Speaking at a press briefing on Thursday, Dr. Phillips says there could be sanctions for non-performance or breaches by its members. He also said a code of conduct is being reviewed to further guide membership and to hold representatives accountable. Among the items that will be part of the code of conduct is a policy against sexual harassment.
As we drive for accountability, there will be sanctions for non-performance and/or breaches. In addition, I would like to point out that the party has also incorporated in our bylaws and regulations the policies against sexual harassment in our operations, and this will be operationalized, as I said, in our bylaws and regulations. We consider that that is important.
The Area 2 police are reporting that there's been a reduction in fatal motor vehicle accidents this year compared with the corresponding period last year. The Area 2 Police Division comprises the parishes of St. Anne, St. Mary and Portland. Head of the Area 2, Assistant Commissioner Albert Nelson, says 44 deaths have been recorded in the area since the start of 2019, compared with 61 for the corresponding 8-month period in 2018. ACP Nelson added that this represents a significant reduction in traffic fatalities. However, he added that the Area 2 Traffic Division will be taking firm action against motorists who continue to break road traffic laws. In sports, Red Sprite Premier League runners-up Waterhouse were held to a 1-1 draw by Costa Rican club Herediano in the first leg of the round of 16 action of the CONCACAF League at the National Stadium yesterday evening. Andre Fletcher gave the Jamaican club the lead in the 3rd minute before Kenmar Brown equalized in the 17th minute for the defending CONCACAF League champions. This means the Costa Rican clubs will head into the second leg next week, Thursday, with an away goal up their sleeves. 12 clubs are sharpening up their preparations ahead of this Saturday's start of the JFF Women's Premier League. The late start of the pre-season training has not dampened enthusiasm in the year when the Reggae Girls made a historic debut at the FIFA Women's World Cup.
When the new season of the JFF Women's Premier League kicks off on Saturday, there will be 3 St. Catherine teams, with one making their debut and the other having a change of name. Debutants Northern Queens will join the returning Fraser's Whip and Royal Lakes, who last season were known as SC Monarchs. Most of the players at the Yorton-based Northern Queens are from McGraw High School's girls football program, and the chairman, Audley Robinson, who is also a teacher and coach at McGraw, told TVJ Sports although new to the league, his team has big ambitions.
Well, our expectation is high now because we've been training about 2 months now, and based on what we are seeing, the sky is the limit. We have girls who are from university, some past students, as I said before, who have knowledge of football, and they are come together, they are blending good, and they are putting the hard work.
Northern Queens is coached by former national player Garfield Reed, and with most of his players coming through the system at McGraw, is hoping to help to broaden women's football in the parish.
We want to do that. We want to have a program that ladies can feed off before this league starts each time. And we are hoping to start a corner league here, just like we have for the men's on Sunday. So the ladies would come out from each and every community and show their talent.
Last season, a new team entered the league called SC Monarchs. Now that team returns to the league with a new name, Royal Lakes. The team has retained some of its players from last season, but also has some new players. According to the coaching staff, training has progressed satisfactorily and the team is anxious to start playing.
I'm very excited. This is the first league I have ever played. I just want to win, have the trophy, enjoy, and everything.
The new season of the JFF Women's League begins on Saturday with 6 games across Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine and St. Mary.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for primetime news on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.